in Perth.
Well, over in Sydney this evening is the aviation security expert Captain Desmond Ross. He's also the Asia-Pacific Vice President of the International Aviation Security Management Association. He joins me now. Hello to you. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. Should we read anything into the fact that the Malaysian authorities got it wrong, the final message from the crew?
There have been so many errors that I don't think we can pick that particular one up as being an outstanding example. There have been some terrible mistakes that have been made from the beginning, and I just wish that they'd invoked the provisions of the Chicago Convention on International Civil Aviation somewhat earlier in the piece. I think assistance could have been brought to bear on day one, and I think that it's a good thing that we do now have some 26 countries involved in the search. I'm not at all convinced that we're looking in the right area, I have to say that.
All right, okay, we'll come on to that a little bit later, but first of all, you say they should have invoked this, this international move. Are you saying that they tried to do too much on their own at the beginning and didn't ask for outsider help fast enough?
I suspect that that was the case. The fact that information has come to light much later in the piece, you know, a week, 2 weeks later, after the event, that the Malaysian military had been tracking an aircraft across Malaysian airspace that night, that said nothing about it, at least certainly not to the general public, and it would appear that no one knew anything about it until days afterwards. The fact that the Thai authorities said that they had been tracking an aircraft, and 10 days after the event, and said, well, no one asked us, so we didn't say anything about it. You know, they obviously don't watch the media and didn't know an airplane was missing. There are so many errors that have been made at the beginning. I think that time could have been saved in the first few days if they'd cooperated more. The international convention I referred to is one that was set up in 1944, and it created the International Civil Aviation Organization. And the entire purpose of it is to provide for cooperation between nations, particularly neighboring nations where they need assistance or where an event has occurred which will affect the nation, other nations in the area. They should be talking to each other on a regular basis. They should be working together.
And you think another mistake is being made? You think they're looking in the wrong place for the remains of this aircraft?
Look, I don't have access to all the scientific data that's being used at the moment, but my gut feeling is that it's going to be they're drawing a bit of a long bow. But hey, I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope that they do find something.
Why is your gut telling you that, though? Why is your gut telling you that?
Well, unless there's been a terrible mistake in terms of the Malaysian military, we all know. I don't know if they're trying to protect some secret. There is no secret. We all know that they surveil their airspace. We all know that the military in all of those countries have fairly sophisticated primary radar systems which look at their airspace 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to identify any unknown aircraft that might be transiting that airspace. Now, at the point where Malaysian 370 went missing from the radar, it was over the Gulf of Thailand, halfway between Kuala Lumpur and Ho Chi Minh City. It turned around. We believe it turned around. Malaysian military authorities say that they tracked an aircraft that seems to fit in with the time pattern and the scale of the whole thing, and it flew across Malaysian airspace. Why didn't they look for it? Why didn't they look at it? Air Defence Identification Zone procedures are well known to every commercial pilot in the world. The military are expected to identify an unidentified, at that point it was an unidentified aircraft. The Malaysian military should have found out what it was, who it was it a threat to their territory? They should have tried to communicate with it. They should have sent up an interceptor, if necessary, a fighter plane, to fly alongside it and make sure that it wasn't a bomber coming in or some threat to their own nation. But apparently none of these things were done. If they had done that, the problem would have been resolved almost immediately. But they didn't do anything, it would seem. I think the Malaysian military need to answer a few questions, and no one seems to be asking them.
Do you think we'll ever find out what happened to this plane?
Let's hope they do. They did find out what happened to Air France 447. It took 2.5 years to find it, but they did find it. And I think the capability is there, and the technology has improved since Air France 447. So who can really say? We've never found Amelia Earhart, have we?
This is true. This is very true. Yeah. All right, yeah. Captain Desmond Ross, many thanks for that. Thank you for joining us. Solicitors and probation officers here have walked off the job.